Hey guys, James and Alicia here from Pocket Gamer and AppSpy. We are back with the E3 coverage on the final day of the show.
It's the final day!
Are you cut up or are you secretly delighted?
Well, my feet are delighted, but the gamer in me is gutted. It's been such a good show. It's been really fun.
No, it has been. It's been particularly strong. Today's been lovely, actually. We started off the whole thing by going and seeing the Nvidia guys. They've unveiled their new, it's just called the Nvidia Shield now.
Yeah.
You know how the Nvidia Shield was that clamshell device thing?
Yep.
That's not a shield anymore.
No, so forget that. Take that out. It's the old Nvidia Shield, as you know it, is the Nvidia Portable. And the Nvidia, the one that you played with the tablet, is aptly the Nvidia tablet.
And now they've got the Nvidia Shield, which is a kind of underneath your television box. It's basically an Android console / streaming system.
Yeah.
Not a million miles away, you wouldn't think, from things like Ouya and the Game Stick, although those were pretty much focused on games. This is a do-everything sort of system.
Yeah.
It's already gone live in the States, hasn't it?
Yep, and it's hopefully coming to Europe. They won't say exactly when, but fingers crossed in the next few months. What they're trying to do is kind of work with the different apps and things, especially like the BBC iPlayer and stuff like that, for instance, for the UK, that kind of thing.
Yeah. They've got a few games running on it. We grabbed some footage, so you'll be able to see some hands-on stuff of both the UI and the games themselves. We had a look at Half-Life Episode 2, Doom 3, the BFG edition, so you can see how it handles the games as well. I then went off to see something which might be the best thing for the show for me, which is Lara Croft Go. So Square Enix did Hitman Go, which did really, really well for them. It was kind of a out-of-nowhere surprise and a success because it took the essence of Hitman and turned it into a 3D tabletop board game, which some people were surprised at. They got a little bit, this isn't Hitman, but we thought it was fantastic and it was one of our games of the year last year.
Yeah.
They've done the same thing to the Lara Croft franchise and turned it, it's not quite a board game, there's much more verticality in the system, so it's like a linear journey through the world. They do have some of the similar mechanics, so when you have to sneak up behind people, attack them from the sides, not the front, that stuff is still there.
Clever.
But she climbs up and down through layers of the environment, so you'll see her scaling walls, hopping across platforms and doing more Tomb Raider-y things, basically.
Because I didn't get to play it, I was out meeting another game at the same time. But when I first heard that they were making it, I was kind of like, but Lara Croft is such a dynamic movement. There's just so many, you scale things, you climb things, you shoot things, you swing across, there's puzzles, like that's what we know Lara Croft for. And the idea of putting it into a board game was like, could they actually capture the essence of Lara Croft?
And it kind of does. It carries over a bunch of tricks from Hitman Go, but they have changed it enough so that there's tomb raiding, there's climbing, there's jumping, there's the stuff you would normally associate with the franchise. So it's a really good compromise, and once again, it's a situation of making something that really suits a touch screen, instead of just trying to cram the original Tomb Raider, which they did, and it's not very good, it's kind of rubbish. Yeah. So that was a real pleasure to see that one. We then went on to Torchlight Mobile.
Yes.
So again, they haven't ported the main game over, they're making an entirely separate game, which is going to be a free-to-play. It's a single-player experience, but they're also getting multiplayer stuff going on as well.
Yeah, it's got a really kind of nice, that control system where you've got the button in the bottom right-hand corner and then your special attacks leading off. Yeah. You move around with your left-hand joystick. What I did quite like about it was the familiars. That sense of you have these animals that follow you around. I think there's a choice of 20 and basically help you in battle. We had a panda who was following our character around.
Pandas are so big at the moment. Tai Chi Panda, there's another game that came out on iOS that, they're kind of everywhere. I'm a little more skeptical about this one. It's a free-to-play game, it's got the usual collection of in-app currencies and all that jazz, and it's got a timer energy system as well, which you have to wait to recharge, and it's very, very frenetic. There's a lot going on screen, and it visually gets a little bit noisy. They haven't kind of hammered down all the mechanics quite yet. We don't know how long it's going to take to recharge, but we're a little bit.
It's one of those things that on a tablet it kind of worked okay, but if you're playing on a normal iPhone and on that small screen, it's gonna get busy.
On the upside, the color palette is another very vibrant, bright thing, like the original Torchlight games, so it's not some kind of grey, grungy mess. So that's nice, it's a bit of a change, but
love colour.
We're going to reserve judgment on it. It's coming out at Q4 of this year, it'll be turning up later. We haven't got a specific date for the Lara Croft game yet, but we are going to be doing hands-on previews. There is going to be video going up on the site in moments. because we've already covered it. We grabbed footage for you, the only footage that's been captured properly from the screen. So little exclusives for you there. Everything we talk about, you'll see a video. We also, quickly, we went over to Seasun Entertainment. You might not know them, they're a Chinese company, and they're launching a game called Relics of the Gods. It's kind of like a 3 versus 3 kind of turn-based style strategy game. I think kind of back in the day Final Fantasy, but like in a mobile form. I think without the story. It looks without like the story, just the combat systems exactly, and nothing else. Kind of over and over. It was pretty like the actual. It was what was really interesting about it actually was almost the way they're presenting it. Over on E3 in the other hall, they have this kind of stage where they've got all of the characters from it. I think that there's loads. It's something like, as he was saying, they eventually want about 50 characters that you can play, and they had a selection of them dressed up, walking around on stage. And I met a guy who he thought, oh yeah, that's an interesting new console game. It wasn't a console, it's a mobile game. So it's kind of showing how much mobile games are really taking over at this year's E3, and I think Relics of the Gods was kind of one of the forerunners of that in terms of hype and production values. We're seeing stuff actually on the show floor in the main halls. They're not like locked off in little offices. Mobile seems to be really branching out. It's rubbing shoulders with the consoles and PC giants. Absolutely. Well, what we're going to do is, before we finish the whole event, we're going to do a roundup of what we think is our favourite game, so stay tuned for that. Yes. And also everything we talked about, you've seen videos going up already. We've got footage for every single one of them. So make sure you subscribe, hit us back for more E3 coverage, and thanks for joining us through the event. Thanks very much, guys. I'm going to go jump on a plane.